Hello and welcome back. Today we have a very interesting piece of Gibson history out of 1984, and this is the Gibson Les Paul Studio Custom. So an interesting era for Gibson where they were trying to compete with some lower priced competition and making some of their Les Pauls a little more affordable for the general public. And this was the beginning of their experimentation years. Actually, the studio began in 1983, and this one is 1984, of course. But you see it has a lot of different options than the today's Les Paul Studio. And you may recall 3 or 4 years ago I had this refinished Studio Standard in a nice sparkle blue. But let's talk about what this thing is. So this is from 1984, and this is the catalog of the Les Paul Studio series. And you can see the custom on the left, the standard in the middle, and the regular studio, I guess, on the right in white, beautiful white. And this is nice to have this kind of archival information. This kind of talks about the body type and the neck, and then it talks about the different options of each one. Give you a minute to read that in case you want to, because it's kind of interesting. And what it talks about on the Studio Custom is the binding and the gold hardware. So that's really the big difference in white binding around the neck. But I think the standard has white binding around the neck too. So here's another example from 84 also, the Sunburst Custom. And of course it has dot inlays. So that was one of the corner cutting maneuvers that they used to bring the price down a little bit to the affordability range. And these are really neat guitars. I think they're built great. They're a little on the heavier side usually, but they have thinner body thickness as opposed to the typical ones that we see today. It's about 1/8 to even 1/4 inch. And here's a lovely light one, thinner than the normal ones. So this is really a great example, and I would love to get one of the white ones. The white Les Pauls are always more expensive, probably because they didn't make as many. But here you'll see a comparison. That's the Studio Custom on the right, and that's my Classic on the left from 2007. You see it's a difference in thickness for sure, and it does cut down on the weight, as you can imagine. The headstock with the gold hardware and the gold silkscreen with the Les Paul model silkscreened as well. Now this one, I bought it and they said it was all original, but I could tell that it wasn't all original, and I give the guy the benefit of the doubt that he didn't know. But all the truss rod covers should say Studio on them. I'll point out a couple other small changes to this particular guitar. But this one does have an ebony fretboard, and a lot of them have rosewood. They mix them up apparently in these these years. So the white inlays and the frets are a little lower. They are low fretless wonders. This is the actual era of the fretless wonders. So it's easy to play chords, and everything is very fast. But it's sometimes hard to get precise notes on bends and things. And you can see here as I'm focusing in on the knobs that these are obviously not original, and you can see that a couple of them are cracked, and that happens when you try to put import knobs onto American pots, CTS pots. So the splines are different, so make sure when you're getting replacement knobs that you get the correct ones for either imports or American made. Here you can see that 7-ply binding. It's really pretty, and that's really the main difference besides the gold hardware is the nice binding that makes it look a lot like the customs that we know and love today and the customs that came out before this. So, tapping into their past is a kind of neat thing that they did, and I applaud the fact that they experimented, and obviously the studio is a very popular model today. So it was successful, but these things only were made, the studio custom and the studio standards, I think, were only made until 85. So just a couple years there. And you can see the black back and neck profile. They're kind of a slim 60s type neck, very easy and comfortable to play for me. Just an outstanding guitar. And you see that strap button. See, that's a replacement. They had those posi lock strap locks during this era for these guitars. So those were missing, and those fetch a pretty high price on the aftermarket. So I don't love them. I don't think they work all that great. They're supposed to keep your strap in place better, but I've never really experienced a lot of good luck with those. But these are smaller buttons, and that can be annoying too. So just a really nice neck profile there. And not all of them had this custom shop edition stamp. I don't know why some did and some did not. From this same era, from this same year, it seems like some of them had that silkscreen custom shop edition stamp on the back and some did not. And this one has Grovers. Some of them have the Clouson ones, so I think those are stock. At any rate, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a great day and take care of yourself.